In a world where modern workers burn out after 8-hour office days, Amish farmers work 16 hours daily for decades without exhaustion, depression, or the chronic stress defining modern work culture. It's not superhuman endurance, but five specific principles: purposeful work, physical rhythm, community support, seasonal variation, and spiritual grounding, creating sustainable productivity that modern productivity culture desperately needs but consistently fails to find. Purposeful work. The first reason Amish farmers sustain 16-hour days without burning out is that every hour of work connects directly to visible, meaningful purpose: feeding their family, maintaining their land, supporting their community, rather than the abstract corporate goals that leave modern workers questioning why their effort matters. The Amish farmer plowing his field at 5 in the morning sees immediate connection between his effort and his family's survival. The corn planted today becomes the meal served in 4 months. The hay cut this week feeds the horses through winter. The barn repaired this afternoon protects the livestock, generating the family's income. Every task has visible stakes and tangible outcomes that create the meaning psychologists identify as the most powerful protection against burnout. Modern burnout research consistently identifies meaninglessness as the primary burnout driver, not workload, but the sense that effort produces nothing personally significant. Office workers completing reports that disappear into corporate systems, executing strategies they didn't design toward goals they don't understand, experience profound disconnection between effort and outcome. The Amish farmer never experiences this disconnection because his work is his life, and his life is his work not as a burden, but as an integrated whole where effort and purpose are inseparable. The ownership dimension amplifies purpose further. The Amish farmer works his own land, maintains his own equipment, and keeps the fruits of his own labor, not earning wages for someone else's benefit, but building his own family's security directly. This ownership creates investment impossible in employment relationships where effort benefits owners rather than workers. The distinction between working for yourself and working for someone else is psychologically profound. Ownership transforms obligation into motivation. The generational purpose extends the meaning beyond individual lifetimes. The Amish farmer maintains land his grandfather cleared, uses skills his father taught, and works toward leaving a viable farm for his sons. This multi-generational context creates significance that transcends daily difficulty. The hard day makes sense as part of a larger story spanning centuries rather than quarters. Modern workers rarely experience this temporal depth, changing jobs every 3 to 4 years and building careers without the continuity that creates deep meaning. Physical rhythm. The second reason is that Amish farm work follows natural physical rhythm, alternating intense effort with recovery. Unlike modern sedentary work that maintains constant low-level mental stress without the physical release that human bodies require for sustainable functioning. The 16-hour day contains natural intensity variations that prevent the monotonous grind, creating modern burnout. The pre-dawn animal care requires moderate physical effort: feeding, watering, milking. The mid-morning field work reaches peak intensity: plowing, planting, or harvesting, depending on season. The noon meal break provides genuine physical and mental rest, lasting 45 to 60 minutes. The afternoon continues field work at slightly reduced pace as temperatures peak. The evening chores mirror morning intensity before the day ends. The physical nature of the work itself provides the neurological recovery that sedentary work denies. Physical exertion releases endorphins, reducing stress hormones, improves sleep quality, enabling genuine overnight recovery, and creates the satisfying physical tiredness that makes rest feel earned rather than merely scheduled. The Amish farmer who falls asleep at 9 p.m. exhausted from genuine physical effort wakes genuinely refreshed at 4:30 a.m. The office worker who sits stressed for 8 hours experiences psychological exhaustion without physical tiredness. Sleeping poorly and waking unrefreshed, the cycle feeding burnout progressively. The outdoor environment provides additional recovery benefits that indoor work environments cannot replicate. Natural light regulates circadian rhythms, maintaining the sleep-wake cycles that indoor artificial lighting disrupts. Fresh air and nature exposure reduce cortisol levels, the stress hormone accumulating in indoor environments, creating the calm alertness that outdoor workers typically report. The Amish farmer spending 14 of 16 working hours outdoors receives continuous environmental recovery that modern workers accessing nature only on weekends cannot match. The seasonal variation in physical demand allows the body and mind genuine recovery periods. Winter farm work is substantially lighter than summer feeding animals, doing maintenance and indoor work replacing the intense plowing, cultivating, and harvesting of summer. This built-in annual recovery cycle allows the farmer to push hard during peak seasons, knowing reduced demand is coming, preventing the relentless year-round intensity that burns modern workers out. Community support. The third reason is that Amish farmers never work alone, embedded in community networks, providing practical help during overwhelming periods. Social connection, preventing isolation, and collective wisdom, solving problems that would defeat individuals working without support. The barn raising is the most visible expression of community support, 40 to 60 men appearing to help with a major project that would take one farmer weeks to complete alone. But the daily community support is equally important and less visible. When a farmer breaks his leg during harvest, neighboring families appear the next morning to finish his fields without being asked. When equipment fails at critical planting time, community members with functional equipment arrive to help complete the work. When illness strikes a family during canning season, women from the church district arrive to preserve the harvest together. This practical support system eliminates the catastrophic risk that makes modern self-employment so stressful. The independent modern farmer faces crop failure, equipment breakdown, illness, or injury without guaranteed community backup, potentially losing the farm to a single season of problems. The Amish farmer faces the same risks, but with community insurance that provides labor, equipment, and financial support, making catastrophic outcomes essentially impossible. This security allows full commitment to daily work without the background anxiety about worst-case scenarios that chronically stresses modern workers. The social connection woven through the workday provides the human contact that modern remote workers increasingly lack. Working alongside family members throughout the day, interacting with community members during shared projects, and the deep relationships built through decades of mutual aid create the belonging that human psychology requires for sustainable functioning. Loneliness research identifies social isolation as more damaging to health than smoking 15 cigarettes daily. The Amish farmer is never lonely because community is inseparable from his work life. The collective wisdom available through community prevents the exhausting trial and error that isolated individuals must endure solving problems alone. The Amish farmer facing an unfamiliar problem, unusual livestock disease, unexpected crop failure, equipment malfunction he hasn't encountered before, has immediate access to dozens of experienced farmers who face similar challenges and no solutions. This knowledge network reduces the cognitive burden of farming dramatically compared to the isolated modern farmer consulting Google and hoping the algorithm surfaces accurate advice. Seasonal variation. The fourth reason is that Amish farm work follows seasonal rhythms, providing built-in intensity variation, spring planting and fall harvest demanding 16-hour days, summer maintaining, and winter providing genuine recovery periods, preventing the year-round intensity that creates modern burnout. The spring planting season from April through May demands maximum effort. The soil must be prepared, seeds planted, and early crops established within narrow windows determined by temperature and frost dates rather than human scheduling preferences. The farmer works dawn to dusk and sometimes beyond, pushing hard because the seasonal window cannot be extended regardless of preference. This intensive push is sustainable precisely because everyone understands it's temporary. The sprint has a defined finish line. The summer maintenance period from June through August is intense but more varied, cultivating between crop rows, managing irrigation or drainage, tending gardens, and preparing for fall harvest. The work fills 16-hour days but doesn't demand the concentrated push of planting season. The farmer finds rhythm in the maintenance work, developing the efficient movement patterns that make experienced farmers look unhurried, even when accomplishing enormous amounts of work. The fall harvest from September through October returns to maximum intensity. Everything ripening simultaneously demands immediate attention before weather changes destroy months of effort. The 16-hour days of harvest feel purposeful rather than grinding because the culmination of the year's work is visible and the finish line is clear. When the last wagon of corn reaches the barn and the last jar of tomatoes is sealed in the cellar, the satisfaction is complete and profound, not the vague sense of task completion that modern workers experience closing laptop screens. The winter period from November through March provides genuine recovery. The farm work reduces to animal care, equipment maintenance, woodworking, and planning perhaps 8 to 10 hours of lighter work rather than the intense 16 of peak seasons. The farmer repairs equipment that wore out during intensive seasons, makes furniture, mends harnesses, and plans the coming year. The reduced physical demand allows bodies to recover from summer's intensity, while the meaningful engagement prevents the restlessness that unstructured leisure creates. Spiritual grounding. The fifth reason is that Amish spiritual practice provides the philosophical framework interpreting difficulty as meaningful rather than merely painful, creating psychological resilience that transforms challenging work from potential burnout source into source of spiritual fulfillment. The Amish theology of work is calling not merely employment, but divine vocation transforms every task from obligation to opportunity. Feeding animals at 5 a.m. is not drudgery to be endured, but stewardship to be practiced, caring for creatures placed in the farmer's responsibility. Plowing fields is not labor to be minimized, but cultivation of God's creation, participating in the agricultural processes sustaining human life. This theological framing doesn't eliminate difficulty, but changes its meaning. Hard work becomes meaningful suffering rather than pointless suffering. The Sunday rest observed absolutely provides the weekly recovery that continuous work cultures deny. Every seventh day stops entirely. No farm work beyond essential animal care. No projects, no productivity. The family worships, visits, rests, and reconnects with the community purpose, giving work its meaning. This absolute weekly stopping prevents the blurring of work and rest that makes modern workers feel perpetually behind and never fully recovered. The farmer returns Monday morning genuinely rested because Sunday was genuinely restful, not a day for catching up, but a day for stopping completely. The prayer rhythm through the day morning, meals, evening, creates regular, brief pauses, interrupting work for perspective restoration. The 2-minute blessing before meals isn't merely religious ceremony, but psychological reorientation, reminding the farmer why he works, for whom he labors, and what ultimate purpose the effort serves. These regular perspective restorations prevent the tunnel vision of task completion that makes modern workers feel like hamsters running wheels, always moving, never arriving. The acceptance theology, trusting that outcomes beyond human control are not failures, requiring self-blame, protects against the perfectionism that destroys modern workers. The crop fails from drought. The market price collapses. The horse breaks a leg at critical planting time. The Amish farmer grieves these losses, but doesn't assign personal blame for events beyond human control. The theological framework distinguishing between human responsibility and divine providence creates emotional resilience that secular perfectionism cannot provide. Daily schedule. The actual 16-hour day runs from 4:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., following a rhythm that builds, peaks, and recovers in natural cycles, preventing the monotonous grinding that creates burnout regardless of workload intensity. The pre-dawn hours from 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. cover essential animal care, feeding, milking, and checking 30 horses and whatever dairy, cattle, pigs, and chickens the farm maintains. The work is familiar, rhythmic, and moderately physical, the perfect warm-up preparing body and mind for the more demanding work ahead. The family breakfast at 6:30 provides the first genuine break and the social connection that anchors the day in relationship rather than pure productivity. The morning work from 7 to noon represents the peak intensity period, plowing, planting, cultivating, or harvesting depending on season. The farmer works with full energy